Good morning, everyone, and to my friends that call this beautiful city home. 谢谢大家欢迎我到台北. My name is Jasheen Jung, and I'm a product marketing manager on Windows, specifically focused on accessibility. I'm here representing the work of many engineers and many program managers who strive to make the world more inclusive for people like Steve Gleason and many others. What my session today covers is one big question. How does Windows think about accessibility? I'm going to first share how the Microsoft culture guides our thinking, and then I'm going to share some stories and demos to showcase our accessibility features. And then I'm going to close with a few calls to action. Sound good? Sound good? Woo! Awesome. We're going to get started then. So I think there's a really big question in terms of why. Why does Microsoft care about accessibility? And it all comes back to our company mission. Our mission at Microsoft is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And when we say every person, that includes the billion-plus people in the world living with disabilities. Our mission is only attainable if everyone has access and opportunities to achieve more. When we talk about empowering people, we simply mean that with the right tools, anyone can do anything. That's every person empowered in every single context. And context matters. Here's why. Let's look at how we think about disability. For most of the 20th century, disability was defined as the result of an individual's condition. The problem was with the person. We're starting to think about disabilities differently, though. The World Health Organization has actually adopted a new definition of disability, where disabilities arise because of a mismatch between a person and their surrounding environment. It's no longer because something's wrong with you as a human, but more so because the environment surrounding you is not catering to what you want to do and what you want to accomplish. This definition presents a solvable business, design, and social problem that I believe technology is uniquely positioned to tackle. Technology from Microsoft, technology from all our partners, we are in a position to make this world a more inclusive place. That's why Microsoft has taken this problem on, because it stands directly between us and our ability to accomplish our mission. The other reason Microsoft embraces inclusivity is because a majority of disabilities, 70% in fact, are invisible. Chronic illnesses, cognitive, mobility issues, many others often give no visible indicators. You don't necessarily know if the person that you're talking to has a disability, or if the person on the end of your Skype conference call or on the receiving end of your email has a disability. You don't always have insight into the context and whether disability is even present or what technology is being utilized. So it's important that inclusivity is embraced from the very start, because you don't necessarily know who you might be excluding otherwise. And while we might not know who has a disability and who doesn't, what we do know is when we place people and context at the center of our design process, the benefits multiply. And those benefits aren't just for people with disabilities. They benefit all of us. It might be someone you know with a permanent disability. Or it might be a friend whose arm is injured or has an ear infection and is a temporary disability. Or it might be yourself facing a situational disability. Have you ever been in a noisy room and been unable to hear your phone ring? Or used your phone outside and haven't been able to see your screen because of the sun? Or perhaps you've been carrying a child with one arm or a bag of groceries up the stairs, and this arm, you can't use it, so you've only got one arm. These are all examples of situational disabilities, and all of us will face a situational disability at some point or another. Everyone is affected by disabilities or knows a loved one or a friend with disabilities. So we must continue to embrace inclusive design to strive towards our mission of empowering every person and every organization. Wrong button. Just to reiterate, over 1 billion people in the world live with disabilities, and their exclusion harms all of us. Computers and the internet provide opportunities and access to services, education, and employment opportunities. Did you know that the unemployment rate for someone with disabilities is actually 2 times the average? This population represents an enormous untapped talent pool at a time when we are all in need of great talent. The challenges are real, and the opportunity is large, and that's what drives us every single day to make our products more accessible. So that's kind of how the broader Microsoft and Satya culture guides our accessibility work. I want to now share some stories that showcase our features, and then eventually move into some demos so you can see everything in action. I have this very unique opportunity where I've been able to work closely with our engineers and observe the work that they do and the passion that they pour into the product every single day. And while there's a lot of different types of people from many different backgrounds and lots of different features that we're working on, all of that work comes together with 3 main threads that bring it all into one initiative. The first is that we're all about celebrating differences. The definition of inclusive design is when you design for a most specific set of criteria, you actually end up improving the product for everyone. What this means is that accessibility is not an afterthought. It's not something that we're thinking about after we've already shipped the product. How can we check the box so that it legally fulfills a requirement? No. That's not what accessibility is. It means that we're looking at the spectrum of human abilities, of the diversity of the human race, and we're putting that at the front and center of our design process. Because that's where the innovation lies, is when you have the most restrictive set of criteria, like with Steve Gleason in ALS, you create these awesome, innovative solutions such as eye control. So it's all about taking those differences and putting them at the center instead of thinking about it after the fact. The second is that we're scenario focused. And I know working in tech, it's super easy to get caught up in settings, features, tools, GPUs, et cetera. But at the end of the day, technology is there for you to accomplish whatever you want to do. Technology should feel invisible sometimes. It should feel seamless. And it's those scenarios that we're marching towards. While we're excited and proud of our settings and features, at the end of the day, it's those user scenarios that are our North Stars guiding us in our work. And last but not least, we're all about embracing feedback, both positive and constructive feedback. Feedback really is a gift, and we've built in some ways to capture that in real time. We've got the Feedback Hub, where with a couple of keystrokes on any Windows device, you can capture feedback in real time. We've also got the Windows Insiders program, which I hope all of you are a part of. If you aren't familiar with what it is, it's a program where you can access insider release builds before they roll out to the general public. And you can play around with them and test them, get sneak peeks into future releases and future Windows versions, and give us valuable insights into our product. This enables a two-way conversation so that we're getting information and thoughts and comments from the people that use our products and love our products so that we're continuing to improve the Windows experience. So let's jump into those stories. We have many features and tools to address vision, hearing, physical, and cognitive impairments built right into the Windows platform. Whether you have a visual disability or a visual preference, Windows accessibility strives to provide options for enabling multiple different abilities and working styles. We want you to personalize your Windows experience so that it's best for you, making computing personal, right? We want to create a product that is accessible when you need to use it, and we want to move that from a product that you need to use to a product you want to use, and ultimately an experience that you love, that is centered around you. I'm going to highlight 4 stories to showcase just some of our many Windows accessibility features, and hopefully you'll get a sense of the passion driving the team and how we can together make the world a more inclusive place. So for vision, it's about making your device easier to see or use without a screen. So easier to see, perhaps if you have a visual impairment or your visual abilities are changing as you age. Or perhaps you have no vision. Did you know that to get contextual clues, roughly 70% of your clues are visual? So if you don't have vision, how do you use a computer? We've got features to accommodate that. And these features are shipped out of the box, not bolted on after the fact. And one of them is color filters. So color filters is essentially a filter that applies across the entire Windows platform to make colors more easily distinguishable. We were originally thinking of people with color blindness when we built this feature. And color blindness affects 8% of the male population, so that's almost 1 in 10 male friends you might know. As it turns out, we've heard that some people without color blindness have actually started using these features because they like the look and feel of how the colors are after the filters are applied. So it just goes to show that when you design for one set of people, you can improve the experience for many. So what exactly does it look like? Here's a picture without color filters. And then here are 3 or 6 of our color filters applied. Deuteranopia and protanopia are 2 types of red-green sensitivity color blindness. And then tritanopia is a blue-yellow sensitivity. As you can see, there is a range of human ability, of human visual ability. And rather than shying away from that fact, we're embracing it to ship a product that has color filters built right in instead of bolted on, so that people with color blindness, right after they open and set up their Windows device, they can jump right in and get started on whatever they want to get started on. The next area I want to highlight is hearing. How do we make your Windows device easier to hear or use without sound? And for this story, I want you to walk with me and picture yourself in these shoes. Many of you here probably travel for work, perhaps to a conference in Taipei, and work remotely or work from a coffee shop. I know that when I'm traveling, I often find myself in a busy conference center or in a coffee shop because it's the only place I can get Wi-Fi and catch up on email. And even with headphones on, in this type of a situation, it can be very difficult to watch a video and hear what's happening. Thus, utilizing one of our accessibility features, closed captions, is a great solution for this situational disability. This is a great example of inclusive design in action. Closed captions, not just in Windows, but in general, were originally designed to accommodate people with hearing impairments. But the benefits of closed captions have multiplied to many. How many times have you scrolled through your Facebook feed or social media feed and a video has started playing, but your phone has been on mute, so the only way you can get information is through the closed captions? Or how many of you are, in addition to hearing my beautiful voice, reading along on the closed captions above? It just goes to show that some people actually like to get information in many different ways. They like to get it through audio as well as visually. It just goes to demonstrate how inclusive design benefits many and is a core principle to the Windows accessibility team. I want to now highlight a little bit of our features to address physical impairments. There is a spectrum of disabilities, and this holds especially true with physical impairments. Whether you have carpal tunnel in your forearms that make it difficult to use a mouse and keyboard, or you don't have control of your arms at all, like in the case of Steve Gleason, our tools focused on addressing physical impairments center around providing alternative input methods for Windows. Eye control is a perfect example of this. So you saw the video of Steve Gleason, and I'm just going to provide a little bit more context on that. Steve Gleason was a former American professional football player who was diagnosed with ALS in 2011. For those of you unfamiliar with ALS, it is a degenerative disease for your muscles. So what happens is your muscular neurons, they degrade, and you lose the ability to control those muscles. Steve Gleason was formerly an athlete at the peak of his career, and because of this disease is someone who uses a wheelchair and physically cannot speak. That's how aggressive and destructive this disease can be. In 2014, Gleason came to Microsoft with a challenge. He challenged us to create a technology that would allow him to independently control his wheelchair and better communicate with his loved ones, like his son Rivers. And what resulted from that was a hackathon project. And 1 week hackathon at Microsoft is a really exciting internal event where everyone kind of drops everything and works on projects that are personally passionate to them or just otherwise side projects that they may not have time for in their day-to-day. And the team that came together built him an eye-controlled wheelchair. And it's that eye-controlled wheelchair that's what inspired us to ship eye control support with the Windows 10 Fall Creators Update. There are real people behind the features and products that we ship. Steve Gleason wanted to better connect with the people he loved. He wanted to be able to chase his son around, something that I think many fathers want to be able to do with their children. And eye control is just one of the ways we're enabling that. So last but certainly not least are our tools surrounding cognition. It's about making it easier to focus and get things done with Windows. I want to tell the story of Lauren Pittman, an American educator based in Atlanta, Georgia. She is a special education teacher, and many of her students have dyslexia. Dyslexia is a learning disability that makes it challenging to read and write. Words jumble together, and they don't necessarily jump out at you as they would for someone without dyslexia. So Learning Tools was originally a set of features built into Office, built upon research on best teaching methods for students with dyslexia. We're bringing it to more experiences with the most recent Windows 10 Fall Creators Update, and through our partnership with Lauren's Classroom, we know that Learning Tools are proven to work. One student was reading at 8 words per minute, and with the integration of Learning Tools, ended up achieving 62 words per minute. Lauren Pittman, so that's a student who can now learn to read in order to read to learn in the future. Reading is a critical skill that you take from not only kindergarten, elementary school, all the way through the end of high school, but you need it in college and you need it in your day-to-day jobs to be able to feel fulfilled in your career. Lauren Pittman and the students she serves every single day just go to show that accessibility has huge implications. While to some people, accessibility might seem like just another bullet point on an ever-growing list of things to tackle, it is a world of difference for someone with disabilities. It can mean being able to read or failing your classes. It can mean finding a career that gives you fulfillment and joy and purpose, or being unemployed. So accessibility is absolutely not something we take lightly, and Lauren Pittman is just one of those ways that we're marching towards making the world a more inclusive place. So I don't want to be all talk and no show, and I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate some of these features in action. The first thing that I want to demonstrate is eye control. And what I have in front of me is a Windows 10 device, an Asus, and a Tobii eye tracker. So I think there might be some people from Tobii out in the crowd. Shout out to you guys. Tobii has been one of our first partners in shipping eye control with Windows and having that support built right in. But if you're interested in either the software or hardware component of eye control and working with Microsoft, I'll have an email for you to reach out to at the end of this presentation. So I'm standing in front of my computer, and I'm going to continue this demo without my hands, using just my eyes. As you can see on the screen, we've got a launch pad up at the top, and that's the main interface that someone using eye control will be interacting with. And I'm going to walk you through each of the buttons on this page. So I'm actually running an Insiders build, so shout out to the Windows Insiders program. And if you have the most recent Fall Creators update, you'll actually only have 4 of these buttons. And I'm giving you a sneak peek into that far right button on that 5th button there. And what this button does is it is a calibration page so that users of eye control can quickly calibrate their device and improve the efficiency and effectiveness of eye control. So I'm going to show you what that calibration process looks like. Using just my eyes, I'm going to go ahead and gauge that. And I'm going to make sure that my eyes are centered right in the middle of that box for the best experience. And this is what it looks like for someone who is first using eye control to get it set up for your eyes. I'm going to stare at this blue dot, and then it's going to explode. How fun. And we're going to do that a few more times so that we can calibrate to my eyes and it understands how my eyes move. We've got one more page here. And now the Tobii device is calibrated for me and for my environment. So that's the far right button. Then I'm going to move over to the far left. What this button does is it moves the launch pad up and down. So if I'm viewing a document and it's in my way, I can very easily get that out of the way. Then we've got a keyboard built right in. So I'm going to go ahead and engage that keyboard. And if I'm typing into a text box, I can use my eyes to type out a message. I'm going to close out of the keyboard. This next feature is text-to-speech. So I can go ahead and use my eyes to say hello to everyone.
Hello.
Or goodbye.
Goodbye.
But my demo's not over yet, so I'm not saying goodbye. I'm going to close out of that. And like I mentioned before, Steve Gleason came to us wanting a better way to communicate with his friends and family. I think we often, as people, as someone without disabilities, it's easy to take a lot of things for granted. Being able to tell my partner that I love them or talk to my son is something that I completely have taken for granted. But for someone who physically cannot speak, perhaps someone with ALS like Steve Gleason, this text-to-speech function in eye control gives them a voice. It gives them the ability to jump into the conversation. So that's text-to-speech. I'm going to close out of that. This next button is it's the mouse. It's like a regular hardware mouse, just like that keyboard was like your typical hardware keyboard. And I'm going to use that to engage and interact with my device. So I can use it to open up PowerPoint. I can use it to open up any application or file that I want. And I can also use it for general web browsing. So I'm going to go ahead and engage that mouse. And then I'm going to stare at what I want to open. And I want to open Edge. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I'm clicking right on Edge. How I do that is I'm staring at the arrows to adjust that accuracy. And then, just like I would with a hardware mouse, I'm going to left-click to open up Edge. So I've opened up Edge, and like I would with a hardware mouse, I can use this to get to wherever I want to go. So I see that I've got a notification. Let's see who liked my status or whatever. And I'm going to engage that mouse and click on my notifications. Make sure it's right on where I want it to click, and open that up. And I can do a lot of the things that I would with a typical mouse and keyboard, even though a hardware mouse and keyboard is not accessible to me. With so much of culture happening online, it's absolutely critical that we make our platforms accessible so that people with disabilities can be a part of social media and be a part of the conversation. And these are all things that we were thinking about when we were building eye control. I do want to preface that eye control, we've shipped it with the Windows 10 Fall Creators Update in beta because we haven't necessarily explored all those scenarios. Accessibility is just one of those applications, but we want to get it into the hands of our users. We want them to play around with it and tell us how we can make it better, so that in the future, we're shipping a product that's easier and better for them to use. So that's eye control. Really glad I had an opportunity to show you that. I'm going to move on now to a color filters demo. So to facilitate that, I'm going to turn the eye control beta off. And I'm going to take you into settings to demonstrate a few of our updated ease of access settings. So I'm in settings right now, and then I'm going to go into ease of access, which is where most of our accessibility settings sit. And like I mentioned, I'm running an insider's pre-release build. This is a release that's more updated than the most recent Windows 10 Fall Creators update. And as you can see, this may look different than what you have. So within ease of access, I'm really excited to give you a sneak peek into some of these features. We've categorized these features into needs. So all of the vision-related features are under vision, all of the hearing-related features are under hearing, and then there's input, and it's all categorized by need. Because we've got all these great tools and settings and things at your fingertips, but we want to make them as easy as possible to discover. So we've revamped the ease of access settings page to make those features easier to find. And we've listed them in the order that we believe at the top will be the feature that most people will benefit from, and as you go down, it's more and more a specific set of criteria. So display, I think many people can picture themselves, making things brighter, less bright. And then as you go down, narrator is our screen reader that allows people with low or no vision to navigate their screen. So it's a more and more specific set of criteria as you move down. I wanted to showcase this before I jumped into color filters, and I'm going to go ahead and jump into color filters now. And like I mentioned before, we've got 3 color filters specifically designed for color blindness, but we've also got other color filters that people with just visual preferences have given us feedback that they like. So for example, this grayscale one, someone with ADHD may find certain colors to be distracting, and this grayscale provides a less distracting background for them to focus on their work. I specifically want to show you color filters in some of our Microsoft experiences, our Office experiences. And when I do this demo, I think of one of my friends who's very close to me who works in finance. So this is an Excel spreadsheet with red-green conditional formatting. And my friend who's colorblind, who works in finance, this is what he hates. He cannot tell the difference between red and green very easily. So if the stock market has been great or it's been terrible, he doesn't know. And as someone in finance, that's important information to him. So I'm going to go ahead and turn color filters on so you can see what that looks like with the filter applied. I'm going to turn it on for protanopia, which is a type of red-green color blindness. And as you can see, that changed the contrast, that changed it so that the colors are more easily distinguishable from one another. And this is a feature that is not only going to be applied to that Excel spreadsheet, but across the entire platform. So if you're on social media, if you're in mail, this feature will be enabled for you. And it's a feature that we're shipping right out of the box, not bolted on afterwards, and hoping that many people will be able to benefit from this. So color filters is a feature for people with visual impairments such as color blindness, but we've also got features for people with low to no vision, and I want to go ahead and show you some of the improvements we've made with Narrator. Again, Narrator is our screen reader that allows people to navigate their device with control, and I'm going to show you some of the updates we've made. So I'm in Mail right now, and I'm going to go ahead and turn Narrator on. How I do that is I press Control, Win, Enter.
Starting narrator. Message list. Marshall Petter, new friend, Monday, November 27th.
I'm going to challenge you to try to not look at the screen and try to understand what's in the body of this email through only audio clues. I know you're tempted to cheat, but try to bear with me here. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this message and using audio cues, try to understand what's in this email.
Reading pain, hey Jackson. We got a new family member this weekend, his name is Choco. Can't wait to see you next so we can introduce you. Empty paragraph image, in line with text.
Okay, so now as someone who can't see the screen, I hear, oh, my friend sent me an email, he said, hey, we have a new family member, and there's a picture. What is in this picture? Narrator is telling me that there is a picture, but I don't have that additional context on what's actually in the picture, especially because there is no alternative text. And if you're unfamiliar with alternative text, what it is this. How I like to think about it is, a picture can speak 1,000 words, right? But if you can't see the picture, how are you getting those 1,000 words if there's not alternative text? Alternative text is an alternative text is an alternative way to provide that information so that you understand what's in the picture. So this picture does not have alternative text. Oh no, what am I going to do? We've added an intelligent image description feature within Narrator so that if a picture does not have alternative text, there's an option that you can still get a description for the picture. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that on by pressing Caps Shift D.
Fetching image caption. A dog looking at the camera.
So now I know it's a picture of a dog because the email my friend sent me said, hey, we got a new family member this weekend. His name is Choco. Did my friend have a baby? Did my friend adopt a child? I have no idea. And through intelligent image description, we're trying to provide more and more layers of information and context so that everyone can be part of the conversation. With so much of culture being shaped on social media, and especially through visual forums, such as memes on Facebook or pictures of jokes, it's absolutely critical that we're building ways that this content is accessible for people of many different abilities. In addition to intelligent image description, we've made improvements to our narrator and magnifier experience. So narrator, as you've heard, is our screen reader, and magnifier is our zoom-in feature that allows you to make the screen bigger and make everything a little bit more easy to see. A lot of our users with low vision will actually use narrator and magnifier together. So they'll have magnifier zoomed in on one place and then also use magnifier to read along with that. Previously, the two were not joined experiences. So if I had magnifier on one area and then I had narrator reading another, if narrator continued to read beyond the area that magnifier was focused on, magnifier wouldn't follow it. And so narrator might be reading something that's not even in focus. We've made updates with the most recent Windows 10 Fall Creator update so that the two are finally a unified experience. And I'm going to pull up an internet browser to show you what that looks like.
Tap Twitter's sales set narrow out Twitter/notification W.
All right, so I'm on this Wikipedia page.
Down arrow.
And
scan. Command not available. Command not available. Alt tab out set narrow giant panda. Wikipedia and command not available.
Well, it may not necessarily be a technology demo unless something goes wrong.
Alt tab Outlook sales set narrator giant panda. Command not available. Command not available.
Okay, well, hypothetically, what would happen is
With
if I
equal
zoomed
sign.
in.
Equal sign. Tooltip. Command not available. Scan off. Scan. Command not available. Scan off. H. Tab. Tooltip. Scan.
Well, if I had this zoomed in on one area and
Tooltip. HT Windows.
I had narrator reading.
Cortana. Search box.
There we go.
Editing. All apps.
So now you can
Recently
see
added. Group. Tooltip.
kind of what I wanted to
View
show
Cortana.
you is
Search box.
previously
Editing.
I might have
Item
narrator
described
reading one
by type
portion
here
of the
to
screen
search.
and magnifier wouldn't follow. And now,
Microphone.
if I move
Start.
around with narrator,
apps.
using that to
Recently
navigate
added.
the screen,
In tiles.
magnifier will
Create
follow
group header.
whatever
Group.
narrator
Activate
is
to
talking
rename
about.
group.
So
Draggable
Magnifier will
routines.
keep in focus whatever narrator is reading. And that's one of the features that we're excited to ship because finally those two experiences are coming together and we're providing a great solution for people who are using both of those applications in conjunction. I'm going to go ahead and X out of narrator
Exiting narrator.
and move into my last demo, which is read aloud in Microsoft Edge. So I'm going to zoom out and pull up a PDF because Edge supports PDFs. And we know PDFs are a frequently used document file type in education, in classrooms. And one of the features that we've shipped is read aloud in Microsoft Edge. So like I mentioned before, Learning Tools is a set of features that are really targeted at students with dyslexia. And one of those things is a reading aloud feature so that whatever's on your page, there's an audio cue to help you. What that looks like is this. So I've got this PDF pulled up, and then all I have to do is hover over it to get this black bar to show up. And the read aloud feature is right here. I'm going to go ahead and press that to show you what this looks like.
Chapter 3. While leading the way upstairs, she recommended that I should hide the candle
So as you
and
can
not make
see,
a noise, for her master had an odd notion
as it's
about
reading the
chamber she
word,
would
it's
put me in,
highlighting that
and
same
never let
word.
anybody lodge there willingly.
And for a student with dyslexia, that's absolutely critical because they need both the visual and the audio cue together to make a special cognitive connection. We've got customization features for this as well. So if you found that voice to be too slow or too fast, you can adjust the speed accordingly. If you didn't like Microsoft David, you can pick Zira or Mark. And we also support other languages for this feature. So we know that in America, a lot of classrooms are becoming more and more multicultural. I know in Asia, students are learning English very eagerly, so you can download language packs for Chinese, Spanish, many other languages are supported on top of English. This feature also works in general web browsing. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my favorite website, Microsoft Accessibility, and all I have to do to engage Read Aloud is right-click and then press Read Aloud.
Microsoft Accessibility. There are no limits to what people can achieve when technology reflects
And like
the
I said, I
diversity
can
of
speed that
everyone
down.
who uses it.
I can speed it up.
Microsoft is committed to accessibility. There are no limits to what people can achieve when technology.
I can have Zira if I perhaps prefer a female voice.
And inclusion aren't just built into our culture. They're reflected in products and services designed for people of all abilities.
And we know that general web browsing was one of the top asked for use cases. So we're excited to ship this with Windows 10 Fall Creators Update, something that's built in right natively into Microsoft Edge, the web browser. Like I said before, accessibility is not something we take lightly. The ability to read is critical for self-sufficiency, for being able to learn in the future, and this is just one of the tools available to you. But it's not just for people with dyslexia. Sure, it might benefit you if perhaps you are a student with dyslexia, but I know that I would have benefited from this in college. I could have had this reading my PDFs while I was doing laundry or texting my friend. So there's benefits for many people beyond just the original scope of what we had intended. So I'm really glad I had an opportunity to show you some of those demos. And I want to close with a few calls to action here. We are immensely proud of the features that we're shipping, but we know it's a journey that we're not at the end of. It's going to take a while before the world is 100% inclusive and 100% accommodating to people with disabilities. And we need to make that journey together one step at a time. Feedback is a gift. We need to hear from you. We need to hear your thoughts. Are there ways that this presentation has inspired you in your product or your set of features to make it more accommodating to people with disabilities? Let's have that conversation and let's have that dialogue. So to that end, I have a few calls to action for everyone here. The first is to ensure accessibility across OEM applications. We've got to partner together to ensure an end-to-end accessible experience. from driver download to email sending, all these different scenarios within Windows. We don't want there to be a single pain point that will derail someone with disabilities to prevent them to accomplish what they want to accomplish and be fully productive and doing what they want to do. The second is to explore accessibility scenarios. So it's one of those things that the more people, the better. Are there potentially unmet situations or unmet scenarios we haven't accounted for? Educate us on that and let us know your thoughts. Let us know where you think potential gaps may be so we can partner on that and march towards that together. And like I said before, if you're interested in partnering with Microsoft on any hardware or software component of iControl, Chris McMillan would love to hear from you. So that's his email. Reach out to him and send him an email. And last but not least, educate us on the OEM opportunity. Is there a sales blocker because of an accessibility-related feature? Is there a way that we can make your sales motion stronger because of accessibility? Reach out to me and let me know, and we can have that dialogue. My email is open to you. I'm probably going to regret saying that next week when I've got 1,000 emails to respond to, but let's do this together and let's tackle it together. So with that, I just want to close with saying that empowering every person and organization on the planet is not a tagline or a motto to us. It's what we exist to do, and there is only one path there: inclusion. I want to thank you for your attention today, but most importantly, I want to thank you in believing this mission and being part of the journey with us. We wouldn't be able to be where we are today to strive towards empowering every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more without the many partners and the many people that we work with to make the world a more inclusive and accessible place. Thank you, everyone. 谢谢大家。